Painting with contrast still saves you time.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and I got a little hobby tutorial for you today. So it's been about a year since contrast paints came out, and you know, the anniversary kind of came and went, but I still use them, and I think they have a great use, and that's at least for, you know, slimming down the time to do wet blending. And one of the things that I find that I have to wet blend the most are lenses and viewports on all my vehicles. So what I did was I came up with this little quick and easy tutorial. It literally takes longer for the paint to dry than to actually get the effect you're looking for on how to use contrast paints to super quick and easy paint your viewports and lenses on all your vehicles. So check this out. We're gonna jump right into it. It's super quick and super easy. So starting out, you're just gonna need a few things here. Actually, paint-wise, not a whole lot. We're just gonna use the Citadel Contrast Blood Angels Red, a little gray sear base that they recommend, which is really great stuff for kind of lightening up things. We may use a little bit of this pure red for some brief, very quick highlights. I'm not sure yet. And then we just need some black paint to kind of make a little bit of a reverse negative contrast underneath the contrast paint. I've got just a basic detail brush. I think this is the Game Envy one. You have the Sphere by Game Envy and the Army Painter wet palette. Although you don't need a wet palette. I love the Army Painter wet palette. You can use like little hobo palettes if you really want. They're just water bottle caps that work just the same. So starting out, we're just gonna grab our parts and go from there. So step one is to just get a nice solid base coat of the gray sear to work up from to let the contrast do its contrast stuff. So I kind of already skipped ahead and did all that on my on all the viewports here. So step two is going to be grab some black paint, which I just showed you. You can literally use any black paint. It doesn't super matter. I'm just using Army Painter black because it's what I had on my table right here. And then we're just going to take and do the reverse. So kind of towards the top. We're just gonna coat the top in black right here. And it's literally that simple. It doesn't have to be super neat or super quick. You just don't wanna get it on the other parts of the actual armor cupola right there. Now, while that's drying, we're gonna grab a little bit of our Blood Angels Contrast Red and we're gonna put it in the wet palette here. Now, if you have a hobo palette, that's fine too, because this step will actually be just fine. You can see where it's already spreading out a little bit in the wet palette, which isn't a big deal. And then we're gonna take our mix. You might remember this tutorial we did last year when contrast first came out. I like mixing this. I don't like mixing their contrast thinner. What I did was I took a 50-50 mix of glazing medium, which you can get at the store. Of course, I don't have mine handy, but Liquitex makes it. It's in a big, yeah, here it is right here. So Liquitex makes it. It comes in a big bottle right here. It's about, well, you need to see how much it is from Hobby Lobby. We'll see if there's available on Amazon. 50-50 mix of that, and then just a little bit of Airbrush Flow Improver from Vallejo. Put that in a bottle, and basically you're gonna take this and you're gonna mix this 50-50 with your contrast paint. And what that's gonna do is make a version of contrast, maybe a little bit more, just to equal 50-50. That's gonna make a version of contrast that's gonna spread out and look great and not be gloppy and not do anything that you basically don't want it to do. And especially when we're doing it over flat panels like we are on these viewports, you want to make sure you're getting that spread and that break of the paint itself over top of your surface. So a little bit of backtracking to do here. I noticed when I was doing the rest of the viewports that the mixture was a little runny. So what I did was I mixed a little of the Blood Angels Red back into the mixture. I made it a little bit thicker. So just be aware that, like, if it kind of starts to run and kind of starts to get a little out of control, it's probably too thin, because remember, this is a nice flat surface. So what might work for something like Tyranids or Necrons or something more organic, you have to be a little bit more careful on these flat panels. So then we're just gonna go back and grab our newly dried viewport with black on it and grab just a little bit of this contrast red onto our brush right there. You can see I haven't deflected the tip or anything like that. And then we're just going to add it on here all over this viewport, and it's okay if it gets down into cracks and stuff like that. And there you can see where it's already starting to do its contrasty stuff, but we need to add a little bit more to really get it popping off and get that really cool contrast effect. And there you can kind of start to see now it went a little crazy, it went in the cracks there, and that's okay. If it gets a little away from you, just wipe off your brush, but still keep a little bit of moisture on it right here. And then we're just gonna go in and whisk it away, and you can use your finger and stuff to kind of grab it too. But a little bit of black paint will tighten that up along the bottom too and create even a little bit more contrast as well. So we'll just wait for this to dry because you really don't want to work with contrast, and then we'll just go through and knock out the rest of the viewports as well. So I cleaned this up a little bit and it's all dried out. So here we are for the next step, which is just to basically add a little line of red over here. Super quick, super easy, just right on this edge. And I'm hoping that this will brighten it up a little bit, and that's the idea. So boom. Okay, let's take a look at that. So there it is. We're gonna wait for that to dry and then go on to the next step. And once you get your line super dry, the next step is to just basically dot just very gently over here in the top area to make this look like, truly look like a viewport. So we're just gonna try to put a little itty bitty dot right there. And what that's gonna do is kind of add a little bit more depth when you're looking at it right here. So once you've knocked that out, you can go through the whole rest of your vehicle and hit up all those viewports. And honestly, it doesn't matter if they're rounded like this lens right here on this auto hail launcher, I think it's called, or these flat panels, or even super tiny ones, targeters on your bolts or bolt weaponry. It's all the same. Just treat it all the same. It's super quick and easy, and you know, there's little lights. Oh, and once you graduate up through this and knock it out and get super confident and see how easy it really is, you can just use straight contrast paint on any lights right here. Like I just use this contrast blue, and you can even switch it up, and instead of doing red, you can use this blue to do that, or you can use that warp, what is it, warp stone, warp fire, warp lightning green to do green hatches too. So I mean, between those three colors, you pretty much have your whole spectrum of lenses available to kind of cover and knock out. And I mean, even from up close or really far away at tabletop, like 2-foot level, I feel like this looks really good. And it was super quick and easy to do. It literally took more time for the paint to dry than to actually do it myself, you know, because going around and doing all of them in one big assembly line, it just went super quick. So check out, well, you want contrast paints, of course, right? Oh, and one little thing. After you matte coat this at the very end, which I haven't done yet because I got to jump off and do some other stuff here. But once I matte coat this, I'm going to actually go back through and paint on gloss varnish so they actually look like lenses, you know, so it looks like glass. Now you don't have to, that's an optional step, but I definitely recommend it because it'll really kind of pop, and you know, it'll just really make it look the effect that you're probably looking for in your viewports and lenses right there. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. All you need for this is contrast paint. Maybe check out that other tutorial we did on how to make this little mix right here. If you need dropper bottles, I'll put all of that in our big hobby list of products we swear by in the comments and also in the description too, so you can check all those out. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.